you want to get a media pass to photograph a festival. I've previously made another video on how to get started in concert photography. If you haven't seen it yet, check that out first. Getting into festival photography is pretty similar to concert photography. The process is pretty much the same, but there are some key differences. Usually a festival is over a weekend or 3 days versus a concert. It's only a few hours at night. Depending on your gig, you're basically working that the whole time. That can be pretty exhausting. You're working, you're not attending for fun. If you're fine with that, great, good work ethic. Today, let's go over how to get that photo pass, set expectations, and then quickly go over some of the camera gear you might want to consider. My name is Erin Donahue. I'm a multidisciplinary photographer and content creator based in New York City. I used to work in the corporate world as a cog in the machine before making the jump to work for myself. And now I'm a professional button pusher. Let's dive into festival photography. Unlike a regular concert where freelance photographers have a better chance of getting approved independently, for festivals, you absolutely have to be a part of a publication. A publication is basically a digital or a print magazine. Unless you're hired to work for one of the artist's in-house teams, like you travel with them or whatever, or you work with one of the music companies, you will not get approved. It's explicitly stated on festival application forms for media. Unless you're like a big name photographer or content creator or you have a personal connection, there's no workaround. Think about why this criteria exists. We know why you want to get it. It's probably for your portfolio, right? But who are you to the artist or the festival, and what exposure can you bring? That's business 101. What's your value? Think about it from their perspective too. How do they get their name out there? And with that being said, many times, especially if you're coming from a publication, these opportunities are unpaid. Personally, I don't agree with that, but that seems to be how the industry works. Because of the fact, though, that a lot of these opportunities are unpaid, you still maintain a decent amount of control. You get to choose what pictures you want to use. I'm not going into licensing or selling your prints because there is a great area of your copyright versus the artist likeness. If it's your passion, though, and you feel really strongly about monetizing this passion, try to get into the in-house team, working for a music company. I don't know, figure it out. Now let's get into what I perceive to be what the main difference is between festivals and concerts. And this is the main reason also why I wanted to make this video. For a festival, you might be sent a media release. Yes, I think some concerts do also send that as well, but it's highly dependent on who the artist is, their team. And in my experience, I've never been sent a media release for a regular concert. I received a media release for the first festival that I covered. I'm not sure if it's standard practice. I'm going to assume that it is. As a rule of thumb, I always go through and redline any legal document. I wish I had this confidence when I used to sign offer letters working in corporate. Since running my own business, I've come to realize a lot of people just blindly sign things, especially legal documents, and it's quite scary actually. Luckily for my clients, whenever I send a contract, it's fair. Mainly because I don't want the headache of doing a back and forth where one party is trying to screw over the other. I just want to make sure we're both protected. Set it and forget it. Because I'm usually on the receiving end of getting contracts, I work with a lot of brands, agencies, whatever. I'm going through that stuff with a fine-tooth comb. 9 times out of 10, they're trying to steal my copyright, my ownership. You might think there's no value in the pictures that you take, especially if you have the mindset if you're just getting started, this is just a hobby, or you can't make any money off this. But clearly there's value because why are there so many instances of copyright being stolen? To be fair, it's usually not personal, it's a template that's sent out. Unfortunately for you, the burden is on you to push back and make sure that you're not blindly signing this stuff. For any media release that were to come up, I have the backing of my publication where I can back out if I really wanted to. They would never force me to sign something I'm not comfortable with. And whoever you're working for, or whoever you're associated with should do the same. Again, this part is business 101 or just a life lesson. Know when to walk away. So now we got the serious part out of the way. Photographing festivals can be challenging because the light is constantly changing and it's a very fast-paced environment. What I like about festivals is that there are multiple artists, so you have a ton of opportunity to figure out your stride and get the pictures that you want. You might be nervous for the first act because you don't know what to do yet, but by the end of the day, I'm sure you'll be completely loosened up and you know what to do. For camera settings, it varies because you're basically there from day to night, and this is why I don't like sharing camera settings because the lighting is just constantly changing. Not only that, what are you trying to evoke? What are you trying to capture? Are you trying to freeze motion with a higher shutter speed, or are you trying to incorporate that motion with a slower shutter speed? So there's a difference. During earlier sets though, like during the day, I will use an ND filter because it's usually too bright, especially because festivals are usually outside. At night when I don't need an ND filter anymore, I might throw on a star filter so that I have that like sparkle effect. As for actual camera gear, I keep it pretty simple. Depending on the size of the festival, if you're running from the photo pit to the back of like a stadium or something, you might want to have a harness and then have 2 cameras. Of course, you don't need to go out and get 2 cameras. 1 is usually enough. A zoom lens is probably your best friend. However, I actually used a 90mm for the festival that I did, and I was really digging it. I know concert photographers like to bring their whole arsenal, and it is important to be prepared, but I just have a crossbody bag, throw my camera in there, some filters, and have my wallet. So that was a pretty quick video. Again, I didn't feel the need to go over the same stuff that I've previously talked about in my concert photography video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you found this video helpful, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.